Hello once again, and welcome to another episode of Inside IUE Sports. I'm your host, Caleb Gillock. On today's episode, we'll be talking with one of our volleyball players who's put her name into the NAIA volleyball record book, as well as one of our women's basketball players about how the season's going and a recap of some of the recent games and a look ahead at the IU East athletic schedule. But joining me first, one of my closest friends here at IU East, Morgan Steinbrunner, to talk a little bit about some of her accomplishments. You've made your name into the NAIA volleyball record book. Tell us a little bit about it.
So this was my junior season, and I really felt like I put a lot of extra work in. Even during the summer, I was putting in extra workouts trying to improve my game, and I felt like the season I really did step up, and it was just such an honor to see my accomplishments get recognized.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about how you achieved those records. Starts with the Governor State match where you hit, it was like 889 in that game. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I thought I started off pretty slow, actually. I was in a slump, and I felt like I couldn't get my swing down. And so after about the 10th swing, I finally felt like I had it back, and I felt like, okay, like I'm actually having a good game. So I just kept swinging, and everything that I was doing, my shots were falling. And then it's just after that, you just have to be a smart volleyball player. And if your set's off, you got to know where to place it. And if it's on, then you just want to power through it.
Well, then 3 weeks later, so at the Governor State, that put you up to 5th in the record book. But then 3 weeks later at Cincinnati Christian, hit 875, and that game good enough for 8th best hitting percentage in the NAIA record book. Tell us about that.
That game, like, I knew coming out. I was ready. I was pumped. I had gone through my routine that day, and I was just ready to play. And I know up until the third set, I was hitting 1,000. So, like, I hadn't had an error yet. Everything that I was swinging was falling. And, like, then their coach was like, we got to find a way to stop her. And then it's just like, I don't want you to find a way to stop me. Like, I want to fuel. It was like fuel to the fire then, and I just kept going. And then I kept trying to look at the stats to see if I was still hitting perfect, and coach was like, no, like, you're not going to see them. Like, you're being psycho right now trying to find the stats. And then finally I was just like, go out and play, and if it happens, it happens. If not, it doesn't. So
what was Coach Niekamp's reasoning for not letting you see the stats in that match?
She knows a lot of times that, like, if I am having a good day or a bad day, then I like to look at the stats. And then if I'm having a really good day, then, like, I don't want to mess it up.
Right.
So I think that's why she knew I was having a good day, so she was just kind of like, just go out there and play kind of thing. Right. But, yeah.
All right. Well, obviously 2 great records there for you this season. Can we expect a couple more in your senior season?
Let's hope so. I mean, I'm going to work to get there. Let's hope I can put my name in there for a 3rd time.
Right. Well, so you've got your name in there twice, like you said. Hopefully 3rd, maybe 4th time. We'll see what comes up this season. But what's it like knowing that you only have 1 season left to wear the Red Wolves uniform?
It's a bittersweet moment, honestly. I feel like it was a blink of an eye, and I was a freshman, and now I'm a senior, and it just, people always say how fast you grow up and how fast college goes, and you never in a million years think that in a blink of an eye it's going to be over. And so now it is. And not having Mal here with me, I think that was the big moment that I was like, wow, I'm almost done, because she's been with me since I started, and now she's graduated, so now it's like my turn to kind of take over. And I don't know, it's just so unreal. Like, I'm so excited to see what this season has in store for us.
Well, as you said, this year you're kind of going to have to take over with Mallory being gone. What are some of the things that you're going to have to be in charge of this season, being that senior leader?
I feel like I've always tried to step up and be a leader, even from my freshman year, maybe smaller things, but now I just feel like it's kind of my responsibility to make sure the underclassmen know, like, what coach expects from us, and make sure my teammates are accountable for things that they do, and just be that motivator, but also be the one to push us, because I have a tendency of being too nice, and I just feel like I need to learn the balance of being a strong voice, but also being a nice voice. So that's my big goals for this season.
All right. Well, you guys have been working out for about a week now, right? So what do you expect come out of your senior season?
Hopefully not being sore for the rest of it. No, but I think that Coach Lundgren has done a very good job of putting in a good workout for us. We do a lot of lifting, and then we'll do a lot of power work just so that we can feel like what it feels like to push when our bodies are tired, get the agilities up. And so I'm excited to see how that goes. We're going to do some individuals this spring, kind of individualized, so like passers go together and like me and Sid will go together. Just that way we can get break it down to what we really need to work on, and then after about a month and a half of that, we're going to team practice. So right now we're excited for that all to happen, and then we're also going to bring up some of the recruits that we have signed or that we're recruiting, and they're going to play with us throughout the season.
Right.
So just that way we can get a better bond, and that way when we go into the summer and we're dying from workouts, we can know how to push each other. I think that's the main goal of it.
All right. Well, who are some of those new recruits that have already signed with the team this year who are going to be your teammates for your senior season?
We have April. She is a setter from Anderson. She was the first recruit that we signed. She came in early in the season, and that's exciting. So she'll be there to kind of push Abby, maybe kind of take over some aspects of it. And then we have Stacia. She's a back row player. She's going to be there to push Hannah and Yoder. And then we have Morgan. Not me, Morgan. Morgan. She's from Fort Recovery, so I actually know her. She's part of the MAC, which is what the division I played in, the conference I played in back in high school. So she was kind of like my little sister through it. I really wanted her to come, so if she ever had any questions or anything, I always had her text me. She's an outside hitter, so she's very athletic. She can do a lot of different positions if we need her to. And then Bree is our last signee that we just signed. She is an outside hitter from Fort Wayne. And I think combined, I'm sure we're not done recruiting, but combined they're all excellent. And our big thing when it comes to the recruiting process is for them to push us and make sure that we're never comfortable in our position. So even as a senior, like Morgan can come in and she can take my position. And that's how you get better as a team, honestly.
Right. Well, obviously, it's going to be your senior season this fall. So not only would you want a conference championship, but you'd like a trip to the national tournament as well, right?
Yeah. Yep. My freshman year, we made it to opening round of nationals. We got second in conference. And I'm pretty sure we've either got second or third in every year. So this year, I just want to push that extra mile and get first in conference and make it to nationals. Even maybe get past opening round of nationals back to Sioux City, Iowa. I think the big thing that we're going to have to do if we want to win conference though this year, and that's our goal this spring, is to push to win fifth sets. As you know, you followed us. Yeah. We had quite a few fifth set heartbreakers. Right. So I think that's our big goal this year, is just being accountable and learning how to push through fifth sets.
All right. Anything else you want to add about your senior season that's coming up?
No, I don't want to think about it yet.
All right. Well, there you have it from Morgan Steinbrunner. 2 records in the NAIA Volleyball Top 10s record book, and a little bit of an input on what her senior season will be like coming up this fall. Be sure to stay tuned to IUE Red Wolves once we get closer to August for a schedule of the 2016 volleyball season. We'll be right back with more Inside IUE Sports right after this.
This is where a busy mom can work toward a bachelor's degree from a top national university during softball practice. It's where a service member can continue his college studies from anywhere in the world, and where you'll benefit from one of the country's most effectively delivered online programs.
Woohoo!
So, if you've ever wondered if a college education is really worth it, this is where you'll see that it is. This is Indiana University East Online.
And welcome back to Inside IUE Sports. I'm your host, Caleb Gillock. It's time to talk about women's basketball, and joining me to do so, number 22, Tia King herself. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
All right, well, 2 of the last 4 games have been wins for the team. Just tell us a little bit about how the season's going.
It's been a bit of a roller coaster. but I think the more we play with each other, the more we get used to each other, and we're just trying to, put a whole game together right now. And, like, we have the ability to do so. It's just us, coming together and trusting the offense and trusting the defense and knowing what's going to happen and that we have each other's backs.
And what are some of the things it's going to take to get that accomplished?
Accountability. Coach talks a lot about that in practice. Like, if somebody's not doing something right, a lot of the times we'll just, brush it off. But we need to get on them about it more than normal, because it's crunch time as conference. Like, we can't waste precious time. So just like having better closeouts, better help side, just the little things is what either makes us win or makes us lose. So accountability at practice and in games is a big part of it.
All right, well, we're in this big stretch of conference games for the rest of the season, and talked about the last 4 games have been wins for the team, but let's start with Point Park. It was a 65-54 win back on January 11th. Tell us about that game here at home.
I know when we started the game, it was a box and one, so they was face guarding me, and I really wasn't used to that this season. Like, of course, a face guard is normal, but a box and one I had never seen, so I didn't really know what to do, and it was just making me like a little frustrated about like, how do I get open? Like, I've never been in the situation. But then coach calmed me down a little bit and was just like, just run it this way, trust it, it'll come back to you. And so that's what we had to do, and we just focused on the little things, boxing out, because they were way taller than us. So everybody crashed the boards and we ran the floor and we just ran the offense, and it just showed like, just face guarding one person isn't going to tear our team down. Other people can do the same thing, so that helped a lot.
Well, the next game was at Rio Grande. It was kind of a back-and-forth game there for a little while, but Rio was able to come out with a 13-point win, 90-77. Tell us about that game.
It was very rocky. We had a certain game plan and we stuck to it, but then it was like we were down by 8 maybe at the half, or 12 or something, and then we came back and then we were up by a lot, and then they just went on their run and their crowd was into it, and then at that point we were 2 down to come back. So.
Well, the next one was at the West Virginia Institute of Technology. Tough loss there, 80-79. Tell us about that game.
It was just, a lot of us wasn't ready to play that game. Because we had beat them earlier in the season, and it was a pretty good win, like maybe about 20 or so. And they came out ready to play. They had energy and they wanted it a lot. Like, they were into it from the beginning, and it was just like slow motion, like, why are we losing? Why are we down? And then we came back, and then their girl knocked a couple threes down, and then it was no stopping them. And then we couldn't get it, and it shouldn't even been to like the last couple seconds, whether we win or lose. We should have had it from the beginning. We have to win the games we're supposed to win.
Well, they hit that go-ahead basket, which was with 12 seconds left to go in the game. Timeout taken. Walk me through those last 12 seconds of the ball game.
It was originally like a certain play so we could get for Kerrigan, but that didn't work. So Coach was just talking to us about running a different thing, and she wanted us to run the clock out. And so I was trying to use a screen, but they came to me, and then I had to just shoot it, and I missed. So it happens. Yeah,
it happens. It's basketball.
Yep.
All right, well, the next game was the 23rd at Point Park this past weekend. Great conference win there, 67-56. Tell us about the conference win.
They didn't do a box and one again, but they did do face guard on a couple of us. We were just ready. We were focused, and we were down. It was like neck and neck. Then they get the lead, then we take the lead. And then it got to a point they were up by 10, and so Coach just was like, it's up to us if we're going to do little things or not. And we have these things called like Cheney charts, where it's not, we don't get points for scoring. We get points for help side. We get points for boxing out, closeouts. And if you don't do a box out, if you don't do a closeout, or the little things like that, you get negative points. So it shows if you're hurting your team or if you're helping them. And so we did a couple of those for the past games like Rio and West Virginia. And it showed us whether or not we were helping or like hurting, so we knew we didn't want to get any negatives anymore as a team. So we just put it together and worked together, and then it just showed in our offense from our defense.
All right, well, finally back at home tomorrow. Seems like you've been on the road forever, but back to the Tiernan Center tomorrow to take on Rio Grande at 1 o'clock. What do you expect to see out of the Red Storm this time?
I think they're going to want to just beat us. again, but I know we have a chip on our shoulder because we didn't want to lose to them, and we beat them last year in the conference tournament, and it was just like we could have had it, but we didn't put a full game together. So I think they're going to be ready for us, but not how we were last time. We're going to put a full game together, so I think that'll make the difference.
With the rest of the games being on the schedule, all conference games, what's the significance to each game now?
Just taking one game at a time and not playing to your opponent's level, whether their record is 0 in this or undefeated or just with one loss. You play every game as if it's your last. So we just need to go out there and just play as a family and together and think of like the Cheney chart and knowing we can either help our team or hurt us. So which one do you want? It's like a win or go home. Like, do you want to go to nationals or do you want to end in February?
All right, anything else you'd like to add about the season today?
No.
All right, well, thanks for joining me, and best of luck tomorrow against Rio.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it from Tia King, a recap of some of the recent games. IU East has won 2 of the last 4 basketball games before going into this Rio game tomorrow. We'll be right back with more Inside IU East Sports right after this.
Dylan Newman had a terrible dislocated shoulder after a bad dirt bike accident. The long-term solution, surgery and intense rehab.
I trusted Reed Orthopedics because they had already fixed my ankle. And within 4 months of my surgery, Dr. Miller and my Reed therapist, April, helped me to regain my motion and most of my strength. Thanks to Reed Ortho, I can get back to what I love. It's all about trust. Right, Dr. Miller?
Right here at Reed.
Right here in Richmond.
And welcome back to Inside IU East Sports. IU East Wolftails reporter Franklin Christ had a chance to sit down and talk with men's basketball assistant coach Tyler Rigby about his basketball background and how he ended up with the coaching position on the IU East Red Wolves bench. Here's Franklin and Coach Rigby.
Welcome back again, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Wolf Tales. I'm your host, Franklin Christ, and joining me in the studio today is Jay County native, Bryan, Indiana native, I'd rather, IU East men's basketball coach, Tyler Rigby. Tyler, good to see you.
Good to see you. How you been?
Doing very well. Obviously, first thing, talk a little about the Jay County Blackford thing. You know, myself being from Hartford City, went to Blackford High School and was often on the receiving end of a lot of Jay County beatdowns. So tell me some of your best memories from Jay County Blackford rivalries.
Actually, early on in my career, I would consider it a rivalry.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to try to talk too much trash about it, but
oh no, just call it how it is, man. Because I know I've been there. Yeah.
It was actually a pretty good rivalry my freshman sophomore year.
Sure.
As far as basketball goes, that's basically all I know. But had some good games early in my career, and then later, I guess the rivalry kind of went away.
Yeah.
I always tell everybody we won more games in their gym probably in those 2 seasons than they did.
Yeah, that's probably a fair assumption.
More than likely. I mean, we played sectional there, obviously, so
Yeah.
those were the wins that we got. But they just, I don't know, they slowly just kind of went downhill.
Yeah, I know that's some of my earliest memories are some of those games that you guys actually played in, because going up there to Blackford High School and when watching a lot of basketball games is, just what you did.
Yep.
And, but yeah, back in the day, you used to have some good teams, but anymore, it's really fizzed out. So
yeah, I actually know a lot of
unfortunate.
people from Blackford, so, I mean, that rivalry's been kind of in my family a little bit. So.
Sure, yeah. Okay, well, talking a little bit about your playing days. Obviously, anyone that knows anything about you knows that you started at IU Southeast. So you've been, you've been down there at Southeast and you've been at IU East. Tell me the reason that you decided to transfer.
Just didn't get a really good feeling at Southeast.
Yeah.
Played there for a year. Actually sat out a year and went to school there. I actually played a little tennis.
Yeah.
And that was really my first year without basketball, probably my entire life. And it was not fun.
Cool.
I just couldn't do it anymore. I knew I had to play, and I knew I was going to have to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So actually one of my good friends from Jay County was coming down here to play. Said, was kind of a new program. They really weren't that good right now, but he was trying to get a few people here to sort of start off a different road, and decided to come up here and play. So that's kind of how it started.
Okay. So what was one of the biggest draws for you to IU East, outside of the familiarity with your teammate coming from Jay County?
Right.
Talk a little bit about what else drew you up here to IU East in Richmond.
Yeah, actually, when I went to Southeast, I kind of wanted to be a little farther away from home, just to sort of get out on my own.
Get the college feel, sure.
Yeah, get the responsibility that I was away from my family, and I could do it on my own.
Right.
Coming back was actually kind of nice. Kind of started to miss the family a little bit. I mean, I'd go back every once in a while, but not a whole lot.
Right.
So coming back to home, closer to home, was a little bit better for me. And then getting to know the people that were already on the team. I know a lot of people left that year, but the ones that stayed, I really got along with them real well, and that's kind of, I'm more of a people person, so if I like the people that I'm around, then I'm going to enjoy it no matter what. So.
Right. Okay. Well, obviously, the playing days ended up transferring into your coaching days here now at IU East. Talk a little bit about how that opportunity came about and why you did decide to come back to IU East and coach here.
Yeah, I was actually I was kind of in a little pickle there. When I got offered the job, I was looking to go overseas or play professionally somehow.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to make a decision when Coach asked me if I thought it'd be something I'd be interested in. But I decided to do it. I mean, I didn't feel like I could pass up the opportunity, being this young, being part of something that I already had somewhat invested in. And I knew the place, knew what it was about. So
sure.
I decided to start down the coaching path. It was kind of difficult because I had played with some of the guys that were on the team prior to that. So that transfer was a little difficult at the beginning, but it got a lot easier as guys graduated, and I kind of got away from the friendship level and into the coach level.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been pretty good for me. I mean, it's turned out pretty well. I enjoy what I'm doing. Just helping out young men. I mean, that's basically what it comes down to.
Right.
The basketball is just a plus. I love basketball, but I just like helping young men and seeing in any way really. But I just happen to know a little bit about basketball, so that kind of helps.
Sure, yeah, sure. Well, obviously, you've been doing this for 4 years now. Could you see this as being something possibly that you'd want to continue down the road, possibly at another institution, maybe even a head coaching gig?
Yeah, I think somewhere down the road that's something that I'd want to do. I didn't know at the beginning, like I said, I didn't know if I was going to like it or not. But it's definitely something that I've enjoyed. And every year I seem to enjoy it more and more.
Good.
The more I learn, the more inclined I am to actually sit down and focus. And I really enjoy everything that I'm doing. And it's been a great opportunity here. I got to do a lot of different things. I'm not just pigeonholed into recruiting or certain topics.
Pretty much free reign.
Yeah, I mean, I get to do a whole lot of things, learn new things all the time, every year.
Sure.
And I really appreciate that opportunity.
Good. Well, I'm glad that it's been a good experience for you. Tyler, I'm glad to see you again. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it. And for those of you watching at home, appreciate your time as well, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks a lot, man.
And welcome back to Inside IUE Sports. That sound you just heard means that it is time for Wolf Center. Wolf Center is where we take a look back at last week's IU East results and ahead to next week's schedule. You can download the Wolf House sound you just heard for free by downloading the free IU East Athletics app at the iTunes App Store or at Google Play. Now let's take a look back at last week's results. On January 16th, the women's basketball team fell to Rio Grande 90-77. Bailey Dryman scored 12 points and pulled down 4 rebounds for the Red Wolves. Also on January 16th, the men's basketball team picked up a tough 74-71 win at Rio Grande. Jacoby Claypool had 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. On January 19th, the women's basketball team dropped a conference game at WVU Tech 80-79. Tia King led the Red Wolves with 25 points and 5 rebounds. Also on January 19th, the men's basketball team picked up a 1-point victory over the WVU Tech Golden Bears 66-65. Parker Salinas scored 15 for the Red Wolves, including the game-winning putback with 10 seconds remaining in the second half. On January 23rd, the women's basketball team defeated Point Park 67-56. Kerrigan Niehoff had 14 points and some rebounds for the IU East. Also on January 23rd, the men's basketball team suffered their first conference loss of the season at Point Park 70-68. Lucas Huffman had 22 points and 4 rebounds for the Red Wolves. On January 30th, the women's basketball team returns to the Tiernan Center to take on Rio Grande. Tip-off is scheduled for 1 p.m. The men's basketball team will also host the Rio Grande Red Storm on January 30th. Tip-off is at 3 p.m. You can catch both games live on WETV and at IUERedWolves.com. On February 2nd, the women's basketball team will host KIAC opponent Asbury at 6 p.m. Coverage will be available at IUERedWolves.com. And the men's basketball team will also be hosting the Asbury Eagles at 8 p.m. If you can't make it to the game, be sure to catch it live at IUERedWolves.com. That concludes this week's episode of Inside IUE Sports. I'm your host, Caleb Gillock. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.